So let's talk about a really unpopular fish. It actually is one of my favorites, and I don't think that it has this reputation pushed on it fairly. I think that is a really amazing fish. People just don't understand it. So give me a couple minutes. I'm going to try to redeem the Chinese Algae Eater. I should start by saying that the Chinese algae eater is neither from China nor is an algae eater. It does eat algae, but its diet is a lot more complex than that, but I will get to that in a moment. Let's talk about this reputation. So you go into any aquarium or fish keepers like Facebook page, group, whatever, and you post about this fish, and everybody will have a story about how it tore apart their fish, how it was violent and aggressive. Like this fish has enough infamy, it could start its own Me Too movement. And I think that is for good reason, and I think that reason is that people genuinely don't understand how this fish works, how this fish lives, and what this fish needs to be happy and healthy. First is, like I said, it is not an algae eater. It does eat algae, but its diet consists of, in the wild, it needs a lot of protein. So if you're not giving it the proper amount of protein, it will seek it elsewhere, meaning your fish. It will suck off their slime coat, their scales, and eventually start to eat them alive, especially smaller fish or flatfish, think like discus or angelfish or something like that. They are semi-aggressive because of that. Also, as they get older, they get big. This guy right here, see, you can see him next to the molly. The molly's like about, it's a big molly. It's about 2.5 inches, and this guy's about 4. Um, this guy was only an inch when I got him. They can get between 10 to 12 inches. They get big. These get to be really big fish. So on top of the dietary needs, if you need to feed your fish protein, typically I think I do shrimp pellets, and shrimp pellets seem to work fine for him as is. Occasionally I do feed live food of worms. So as they get bigger, their dietary needs start to change, become more intense. They also become more territorial, and they start getting aggressive. So these fish are usually kept in smaller aquariums, but they can't be. They need something around 40 to 55 gallons, like minimum, because they get so big, and they need a place to hunt, and they need a place to feel safe. And a lot of people, they don't provide the dietary needs, they don't provide the environment, and they don't provide the tank mates. You can't keep this with fish that he's going to target. We've all made that mistake. That's why he was in the tank that he's in now. I first tried him off with mollies because he killed a lot of my danios. And he did really, really good with the mollies, because mollies are also semi-aggressive fish. They're not going to put up with him, because usually what he would do is he would always test the fish first by charging at them, and a molly isn't going to deal with that. The mollies would scurry away, then come back together. It was kind of interesting, but they ended up working it out. And after a day, they were just fine. They got along. They were eating together. They were just hanging out. And I was keeping a camera on them night and day to know what they were up to. I know I'm obsessive, and it's weird, okay? But they actually ended up getting along really well. So after I was done with that experiment, I moved the molly out because I wanted to be careful with him, because he is one of my breeding mollies. That's why I was monitoring so heavily. And I decided to move my Jack Dempsey in. With the Jack Dempsey, it was actually a lot better than the mollies, because the Jack Dempsey, I think, is because it's bigger and it's more aggressive. The pecking order was pretty much established in the first hour or so. And since then, they've been getting along really, really great. There's been no aggression. They'll eat together. There's no shyness, especially because the Chinese algae eater is typically a very shy, very timid fish. If you walk up to the tank, it bolts to the back and hides under something. As you can see, I am standing right next to the tank, and for the most part, it is not bothered. The tank is right by my computer. As I'm recording this, I'm sitting here, and he's right up against the glass. Because I set the tank up so he has lots of room to hide and lots of privacy, he's no longer a shy fish, and he's very active, as you can see. He's spunky, he's all over the place, and he's very interactive. I enjoy it very much. And that's one of the things that I think a lot of people, it's really a shame that they miss out on. The pet stores really don't give good information on this fish. And so this fish ends up getting a really bad reputation. A lot of people hate it. And I just kind of wanted to make this video to kind of show people that, hey, you know, yes, this fish does have a reputation for a reason, but if you actually take care of it in a proper way, if you give it the space and you give it the food and you meet the nutritional requirements and you get proper tank mates, this fish ends up being a very active and very sassy contribution to your aquarium. Now, I know everybody has their own opinion, everybody has their own experience. You know, it really comes down to the individual fish's personality. And when I first got into fish keeping, I never thought that fish might have individual personalities, but they do, and it's weird, but they do. There's some that are just going to be naturally more friendly, there's going to be some that are naturally more aggressive, but this is what's worked for me. So I'm not like saying this is like concrete, but this is what's worked for me, and I've really appreciated this fish since. I've really been able to enjoy it. Still not sure why it's called a Chinese Algae Eater. So there you go. I hope that I have at least in some way redeemed this gorgeous and sassy little fish. This is Nat at Something Fishy This Way Swims, and thank you for watching. I'm going to leave the video running so you can just watch my fun little fish.